friends from the International Leadership Academy. So, hey, everybody. I'm Joe Mangum. I'm your Vice President of Learning, and welcome to day 17 of Celebrate 21. And you know what? I feel like we're on a roll. And this here will be an amazing panel because you're going to be talking to the recruiting warriors of Century 21. But we're not stopping there for our leadership. We also have on Thursday afternoon, same bat place, same bat station, where you are going to be able to listen to a conversation between Terry Swanson and Brian Ellington. Can't believe I stumbled on that name. How funny. Brian Ellington, where they're going to be talking about recruiting, managing, and compensating teams. Really important conversation, as well as join your agents on Friday when we're going to be interviewing Kevin Mills and Kyle Sabath. They're going to be talking about the words they use to convert. Really, really interesting conversation. And on Monday, our last day, the 21st day, we are going to be having masterminds, including for women leadership, a mastermind with Sue Yannico. All right, I know you're not here to listen to me. You want to hear all the great secrets of recruiting. And for that, I am going to hand it over to our recruiting coaching guru, Liz Danielson, who she is the power behind the charge of all this amazing recruiting coaching. Hey, Liz.
Hey, Joe. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you for those kind words. Welcome, everybody. It is my pleasure to be here with all of you. We've got a great session planned. Our three panelists were all winners in 2020 of the top 21 recruiters. So we're very fortunate to have them with us today. I'm Liz Danielson. I am the Director of Recruiting. So all things recruiting come from my department, and we're here to help you grow your business and recruit those great agents. But before we get started, I do want to thank our sponsor for this session, Terradatum. Terradatum is the company that provides us with the Brokermetrics licenses that allow us to use iProspect. iProspect is a recruiting and retention CRM tool. If you are not familiar with it, please go to 21 Online and look that up. It is a game changer when it comes to recruiting. So Terradatum, thank you so much for sponsoring this session. It's very fitting and appropriate that they're sponsoring our Recruiting Warriors panel. So I want to introduce, we have Derek Queen, Jill Abernathy, and Lisa Bowles. And I'd like you each to introduce yourself in more depth and talk a little bit about the company you work for, the size, the number of agents, how many agents you've recruited. So why don't we start with Derek? Derek, you're on mute.
There we go. Hello. To kind of give a brief overview of just my background and the office itself. After leaving college, I worked in public affairs for a worldwide brand magazine. And then from there, I worked for a national home builder, which was KB Home. I was a top salesperson in the country there for 3 years, moved on into management. And after I retired from there, I got into the executive side of real estate with different brokerages. And I helped grow a brokerage here in the state of Texas to the top brokerage in that brand 4 years in a row. Once I met our owners here at Century 21, Thomas and Andrew Mouton, we had been friends for a number of years. We felt like it was a magnificent switch for them to get into the franchise. And we've only been open right about a year now, but have had some fantastic results with our partnership and our teamwork, and we function like a family. So I would say since we started recruiting in August of last year, we've brought on about 50 agents, somewhere in that span. Experienced, new, but we have our goal was really to create the right culture, to get a mixture of experienced agents who will provide thought leadership for the younger agents, and just good people. We speak 14 different languages out of those 72 agents or so we have. We're very proud of that. Houston is a very diverse city, and we enjoy what we do. We both, I say both, myself and the Moutons have differences in our real estate backgrounds. Indra comes out of Title, which is the broker, and Thomas, her husband, who's a commercial practitioner, owned a mortgage company previously. So a lot of different relationships we have, and really good people, and glad to be here with the brand. I absolutely believe in the new tools, the rebranding, and everything that it can offer an agent.
So Derek, what is the name of the company that you're with?
Century 21 Exclusive Properties here in Houston, Texas. The address will say Bel Air, but Houston is so large. We're right in the middle of Houston.
Awesome, thank you. Jill, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Jill Abernathy. I'm with Century 21 Kern and Oberski. We have 4 locations and we serve the entire Metro Detroit area. Sold 2,400 homes last year, had a record-breaking year last year, on track to have another record-breaking year. I'm pretty short-lived in real estate. I have been in the business for 7 years. Prior to real estate, I managed a collateral department for a regional bank and decided to leave corporate America to spend more time with my children. Had decided that I was done managing a team and being in charge. And so I left to come work for Bob and Adam, and spent 10 months selling real estate. And I think naturally I found myself leading the way with the new agents in the office. And so my first job within the company was coaching the rookie agents. And then the next thing I knew, I was becoming the assistant manager. And then the next thing I knew, I was getting a broker's license. And it sort of was very, very fortunate to have some really, really great leaders in front of me at the company to learn from. And typically on an average year, I'm recruiting anywhere from 45 to 50 agents. I was tapped about 1.5 years ago to come open a new location for us. We grew this office 67% from agent count last year. Missed a Centurion Award by the hair of our chinny chin chin, and looking to double it again this year in 2021.
Awesome. How many agents in the company, Jill?
241 agents within the company.
Awesome. Thank you. Lisa, welcome.
Hey, hi, thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. So a little bit about me. I don't come from real estate in any way, shape, or form. I came from recruiting, outside recruiting, and came to Century 21 Results by way of Terry Swanson and his magical, seductive tools to get you to reel you in. And I started recruiting 4 years ago. And I wouldn't say we've doubled our recruiting efforts every year, but pretty close to that. In 2020, we did 113 agents we brought over, new and productive agents. We are at 313 agents today. We are Century 21 Results. We just moved into our iconic train depot. And if you can see behind me, these doors, we just moved in Friday into an LJ, a brand new office for us. And it is in a train depot that was built in 1921. So we're up now, and that's why I was having such a hard time getting online, and I apologize. But we're up here right now trying to put this building together so that I can start recruiting from here. It's recruiting is absolutely constantly a challenge, and I absolutely love it. And I, like you, Derek, it's really important that we have the right culture and the right fit, and that we have people who want to work and want to play hard. That's our motto. It results. Anybody that knows Terry knows it's true. When we work hard, we play hard. So that's about it. That's who we are.
And so, Lisa, how many agents does the company use?
13.
13. How many did you recruit in 2020?
113.
113. Awesome. What is your goal for this year?
I just got it today. Somebody, our CFO, who usually doesn't give me my goals, came up to me and told me my goal today, and it's 350 by July 1st.
There you go. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. And for those that are viewing the session, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And Katie will be monitoring that for us. So if there are any questions, Katie, just let us know and we'll pause to make sure that we answer those. All right. So what do you differentiate between when you set your goal for the year, do you differentiate between experienced and new, or, you know, whatever comes in? So Derek.
Absolutely. I think you have to make the differentiation just to keep your eye on the prize, which obviously is at the end of the year. You're looking at transactions. You know, there's a monetary goal in mind that's probably unreachable, but you know, we try to reach for the stars, I guess you could say. I think we kind of try to use a 2-for-1 metric, 2 experience for 1 new. And I think that way you have a really good grasp of keeping your thought leadership in the company, so people have access to quick questions and quick answers, if that makes sense.
Okay. And how do you track your pipeline of prospects?
Through a CRM. You know, that some people, obviously you're not going to get them all, but I don't believe in that. It's just a matter of when. I think you'll get them. You know, the brand speaks for itself, and sometimes you just have to continue the communication until you uncover that pain point, because they all have them and you have to catch them at the right time.
Right. So how many prospects do you have in your pipeline currently? About
300.
Okay. Good.
And we're talking about a 6 to 9 month follow-up schedule, that kind of thing. So.
Okay, thank you. Jill,
Yep.
How about you?
Absolutely. We divided into 2 buckets. One thing that might make us a little bit different is that we have a rock solid onboarding education process for new agents. So we do a lot of it, but we do it maybe a little bit easier because we have a methodical training schedule that has been embedded for years. We do focus on experienced agents. Of course, we always want fresh AGC. It's good for the rookies to see that experienced agents want to come to the company. And I also think it's good for the experienced agents to see that we're hiring fresh new faces as well. I think it's good for both sides. From a tracking perspective, I do have a CRM and I do use it, but on a daily basis, I use a journal. I have a list in front of me everywhere that I go. The journal must be able to fit in my purse because I legitimately carry it with me everywhere I go. So if I have a couple of minutes and I'm sitting at a dentist appointment with my children, okay, who haven't I talked to this week? The list is consistently in front of me. I keep 21 experienced agents on my list, and then I have what I call my hot 50. And then I have a little bucket of, 2 to 250. So I kind of separate them. These are my experience that I want to focus on. These are the 50 that I'm massaging and I want to keep moving. And then my long-term constant touch.
And so how many prospects do you have in your pipeline total, roughly?
280.
Okay. Lisa.
Hey, so basically the same as everyone else, but So I don't do new agents. There's another person in our office that does new agents. So I just recruit experienced agents, which, and I used to do new agents. It's just, we're growing and we're growing really quickly. It's just better that we separated it out so that it works better. I also use a CRM. I use iProspect, and I didn't used to use iProspect. I got on the bandwagon when it first rolled out, and that's a Century 21 product. And if you're not using iProspect, I can tell you it is, for me, the end all beat all of CRMs ever there could be out there. It's, it manages it. So whenever I call someone, it logs it. And not only does it log it, but it tells me whether they've had a sale last week, where the location was, you know, their email address, their personal phone numbers, their office phone numbers. But it also says, what do you want to do next time? And I say, well, I want to call them or I want to email them. It is incredible, this thing. Drip campaigns, it does everything. So I love iProspect. So woohoo for Century 21 for giving that. It's made a big difference. This is going to shock you, and I'm not showing off, but here it is. I have about 3,500 prospects that I continuously rotate. But that's because I've been doing it for forever. You know, they're just people that I am still in contact with. I'm still calling, and they're just literally looped in my CRM. I touch everybody at least once a month. And it may not be about recruiting. It may be, you know, how was the day at the beach last month? So, that's just an ongoing thing. The prospects that are like right here, right now, they have a rating system in iProspect, and you rate them 1 through 5. And so I probably have, like everybody, I probably have 20 to 30 that are like number ones, and I have probably 200 that are number 2s or 3s. But everybody keeps looping around. That's, you gotta keep touching them.
And so having that many prospects in your pipeline, you need that CRM tool to help you stay organized.
No way I could do it without it.
Okay, good.
If I prospect, I mean, I used Salesforce in my old career and it was really as good, but this is so specific, real estate. That's what I love about it. It's so specific to real estate agents. Like a, you know, computer or a commercial for iProspect. I promise I'm not.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, by the way. But let me ask you a question. You said earlier that you did not come from the real estate industry, that you were actually a recruiter in a different industry altogether. Did you find it challenging when you transitioned to the recruiter role in the real estate industry?
Yeah, because I'm not offering more money or a relocation package or insurance or benefits. Yeah, but it was completely different. In fact, when Terry asked me to be his recruiter and he told me that, you know, you're not going to be giving them a raise. I'm like, well, how do you get somebody to move? I was in heavy civil construction recruiting. So I worked as an independent for the largest construction companies in the world. You know, like cable stay bridges and tunnels and ports. And I would move an engineer from one place to another. So yeah, it was completely different. I had to figure out how to make the value work, and it was a struggle, but you know, you get around to it. And now I guess the biggest thing is it's not so much as finding the value as it is to knowing what is not a value in other companies, knowing everybody's company out there and what they're lacking in and what you're better at.
Okay, thank you. So how do you identify the agents that you want to affiliate with your company? What are you looking for? Anything, and where do you find them?
Are you still on me?
Yes.
Okay. It's not hard because of the tools that we have with Broker Metrics and with Datum and with iProspect, and iProspect links straight through there. I tend to try to just, that's not true. That's, I would love to be able to say that I just try to do agents that produce 3 million in production or higher. Obviously can't be done, but that's what I try to do. So I just go in and hit that slot between 3 and 6 million. That's the sweet spot. You know, they're making their cap, but they're right there in that. That's the best place for the company to make money, is that 3 to 6 spot. But if I got a $15 million producer, I get excited because that's the fun ones, right? For all of us. That's the ones we all like to play with.
All right, great. Thank you. Jill, How about you?
I think my favorite is realizing who our co-ops are and those repeat names and who's running a nice similar business that fits our business model. I think we quickly learn in this business who we don't want. I think we learn that much faster than who we do. But the repeat names and agents that our agents enjoy working with is really where I like to start. You know, tell me about this experience and how did it go? And I do have agents that bring me names and they are like, we think that this person would be a good fit. Here's the name I think you should go after.
So you do get a lot of referrals from the agents in your company.
Yes.
That's awesome. And that's a good testament to, you know, the culture that your company has. Great. So Derek, how about you? What is
Actually, a lot of the things that Jill just mentioned, some of certain agents that we have that may sell consecutively or a few different times a year with a certain agent. They build a really good rapport. And on the other side, agents may bring me a business card, say this person was really, really nice. And the relationship they have with their brokerage is absolutely broken. They're not concerned about their career development. They're just kind of letting them fly around and do what they want to do. So I think our agents can actually be the best testament because they have real-time communication and they can affect someone else's business by the way they handle themselves.
The other agent I find to be intriguing is maybe someone who you can quickly identify by the way the purchase agreement is written. Someone will bring me a problem that they're struggling with, and I go right to the purchase agreement to look at it. And I can see, it's kind of poorly written. We've left some holes here. And the agent is really trying, but the brokerage that they've come from is not giving them any guidance.
Right.
And so, you know, if they're not teaching them how to write a purchase agreement, they're also not teaching them how to build a business. And so, you know, I feel bad for them. And so I will help coach them and guide them versus, you know, becoming angry. So they're going to end up getting more help from us than they are from their own broker, even though we're sitting on an opposite side.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. And I think that's part of the value that you bring to the table for some of these agents who are just floundering out there. And they could be excellent producing agents. They just need that guidance. So Derek, you said that the company that you're working for right now has only affiliated with Century 21 for about a year?
Correct. That's correct.
And how many agents did the company have when they affiliated?
Maybe about 28, 27, somewhere in that number. We're around 72, 73 now. And thank you. And it, you know, our goal really initially was to create the culture that we wanted to kind of set a ground floor so that, you know, we would be able to again have just that thought leadership of like we were just discussing, just having the agents that are proud to be where they are. They know themselves because they were trained well. If another agent who's at another brokerage is not efficient in their work and things of that nature. So just a lot of different ways of identifying, and it's been a whirlwind since we started, and we're still whizzing around, I guess you could say, you know.
I can imagine. So walk me through a typical day. What are the activities that you do? Share that with us.
Right. So my title is the Vice President of Development and Operations. Among all of that, recruiting. So it could be anything from, you know, 10 different fires. Someone may need a luxury sign. It comes from all over. Someone needs help with a contract. And literally from there, I start my calls at 10 o'clock every morning. And mind you, people call me at 7:30 and 8 o'clock in the morning just because we're friends or I'm trying to be their friend, and they continue to call. So you never know when it's gonna happen, but I try to sit down and block out hours of my day between 10 and 2 to make some follow-up phone calls, to also kind of get ahead of myself and make sure I make a certain number of new dials, but also try to uncover the pain points as I'm communicating with people. And I think that's so important because they all have them. And if we know our competition and their business model, it's very easy to uncover the pain points with all the tools that we have here in this brand. It's just a matter of when, I believe, especially as we go through the next few years. There's so many different brokerages and business models out there, but they don't have the brand. They don't have the brand. And with the tools and technology and how Century 21 is constantly attempting to make us better, I think that we have the upper hand. I truly believe that.
Mhm.
And you worked for another real estate brand previously?
I did. It's one of the big three.
One of the big three.
One of the big
And-
three. Yeah.
And
one of
you've
the
got a big smile on your face, so I think that you're happy with where you are. So
Absolutely. And you know, it really, to just be very transparent, I smile all the time, but from a literal perspective, I think that the rebranding, and people like to do research for themselves. So go ahead and look online. Let me give you some tools to look up. And you can see what you're missing. A lot of companies advertise technology, but they don't train them how to use it.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And Jill, what is how much time do you devote to recruiting, and what does your typical day look like?
Well, I wear a couple of different hats. I do not recruit full time. I do manage and oversee our office. I'm going to say that I devote about 30 to 35% of my time each week to recruiting. And I have a goal every single week. And I do know this is that the numbers don't lie. And I like to tell my agents, you will make, for every 100 phone calls you make, you will have 10 appointments. And for every 10 appointments that you have, you are going to get 1 or 2 listing appointments. And so I really follow the same rules because the numbers really don't lie. I will make anywhere in a week from 28 to probably 50 contacts in a week. Some days it's a little bit faster. Some days it's all phone call because the week has gone perfectly. And some days it's half phone call. And you know what? I just didn't hit my goal. So you know what? I got to start texting. How are you? How's your family? Some days it's just that. But my minimum appointment criteria that I shoot for is 5 scheduled appointments a week. I love 10. I settle for 5, and 5 is my minimum. And I really don't go home on Friday until I have 5 set for next week. And if there are 5 aren't set, then I'm probably going to wake up early Saturday morning and get it together, because I don't want to be disappointed. If it's not set, it's not going to happen.
Got it.
So it's very simple.
Thank you. Lisa, what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, I am full-time recruiter, so that's my job. But one of the things that I promise when I'm recruiting is that I'll help them with anything that they could possibly need. And if I can't find the answer, I'll find it for them. So a lot of times I'm fielding those kind of calls and helping agents that are in a weird situation. We have 16 full-time employees though, so I don't have to do a lot of that. So I time block, and it doesn't always work because life is life, but how it's scheduled is I try to do all my calls in the mornings between 8:30 and noon. That's the goal. I spend about 2 hours doing follow-ups, and I try to do 2 hours of new people. Sometimes I get all follow-ups and no new people, and that's very discouraging to me. And I, like Jill, get a little frustrated, and I got to get that in, because if you're not calling new people, you never know that's the person that's probably willing to leave right now, is the one you've never spoken to. So then I try to schedule all my appointments in the afternoon. That doesn't always work. There's agents that say, yeah, I'd love to come visit you. Can we do it 9 o'clock on Friday? Well, guess what? I'm not going to be calling 9 o'clock on Friday. I'm going to be sitting with an agent. I'm extremely flexible in that manner because I learned from my old recruiting job, if you don't get them while they're saying yes, then they'll come up with a million excuses in their heads as to why they can't come see you. So I try to jump on things as quick as possible. So that's how I do it. I spend about an hour when I have an appointment and try to nail them on the first appointment. Usually it takes 2 or 3, as everybody knows. And I try to be home by 5:30 in the evening. Most of the time it works.
So the common thread that I'm hearing is that you all have a plan. I mean, you all block off a certain amount of time. You all have a certain number that you shoot for as far as contacts and appointments. It's not something that you can just say, you know what, I think today I'll do this. I mean, this is a plan that you have that is really worked towards your success. Lisa, before we move on, we do have a question for you. Somebody wants to know how do you use the drip campaign, and do you use it with iProspect?
I do not use it with iProspect. I use it with Constant Contact because it's just more efficient for me. But we do use the drip campaigns, and I'll tell you what we have been doing that's really working is Terry Swanson or me or our marketing department, someone from the company that's doing something just doing something really well at the time, or we've added some new benefits. We'll do a video and we'll send it out through Constant Contact. It's just something that's happening in our world. Sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're goofy, sometimes they're serious, but we just are constantly sending out those videos, and people don't delete videos. They watch them. I don't know why that is. I'm the same way though. If you send me a video, I'm watching it too. So I know the question is how do you do it through iProspect? And you can do it through there. And you click on help, it will actually show you exactly how to do the drip campaigns through iProspect.
Yeah, and we are going to be partnering, merging iProspect with Business Builder.
Cool.
So that's something that is being worked on as we speak. We don't know exactly when they're going to launch that. It'll probably be in a couple of months because they do have to work with a different vendor. But that's one of the things that they want to do so that you will be able to do everything on one platform and not have to flip back and forth to different platforms. So that'll be good. Well, while you're here, Lisa, who is your number one competitor?
Keller Williams.
And how do you handle the cap model situation?
We have a cap.
Okay.
I have a cap. Okay. And my cap is higher. So it makes it, we're right down the street from each other. I think the thing that makes us better than Keller Williams personally results. And I hate it when you're listening to these panels and someone's talking about specifically their company, but that's all I got. So what makes us better is we have, I've said this 5 times, 16 full-time employees that do everything for you. And that includes all of your marketing for you. Rosie inputs all your listings for you. I think the numbers that we have, we've had the last 9 rookies of the year have come out of our office. And so would have been the runner-up and the runner-up of rookies come out of our office. Stomping Keller Williams. And it's interesting. We weren't. 2 years ago, we were behind them. We could never, ever, ever take the market share from Keller Williams. And about a year and a month or so, about November, December of 2019, we started edging up a little bit. And then we just took them by storm and we just, waved them in the review mirror. And it was because I took all their people. I took 89 of their people. And it's the value. We have such incredible value at Century 21. I mean, between all of the tools that we have in the back office, but then all the things that they afford us to be able to do. Century 21 is, in my perspective, the easiest corporate real estate company that gives you that big brand feel, but allows you to be intimate and have the experience that you want your agents to experience inside your doors. That's the beautiful part of it. We are results. We're Century 21 all day long, but we are results. And we are taking the city by storm, and they can feel the energy. They can feel the passion, and they're coming, I told Terry, build it and they will come. So we're building different locations and it's working.
So you said that your cap is higher than your competitor. You don't have to give me a dollar amount. What, by what percent?
21,000. It's 21. We kept the Century 21.
Okay. And you have no problem recruiting to that because of the value that you feel the brand and results brings to those agents?
Because we have so many more transactions per person in our office.
Mhm.
Because of the amount of coaching that we do, because of the amount of, we have so many different programs you can get at, lead programs that you can get into. You're going to make more. The 21,000 is a drop in the bucket compared to what you're able to make at our office statistically. And that's huge.
Mhm. Awesome. Thank you. How about you, Derek? Who is your number one competitor?
I would say Remax.
Mhm.
Ooh.
And how do you
And-
handle those objections?
You know, finding out their pain point, and if they don't know it, show them what it is, creating a value proposition. A lot of times they just don't know how much money they're giving away or where exactly it's going sometimes. And they just get comfortable in the rhythm, and they may like someone there, and you know, they get comfortable for a few years, and the next thing you know, they're paying $500 a month for the balloon, and that's not a good thing. So really just showing them the value proposition, and continuing to build the relationship, building a rapport. You know, it could be about rock climbing, it could be about anything, but just finding those things that are in common so that you can bridge the gaps, because that pain that they have is going to show up again. And when it shows up, your phone will ring, because they feel like you've not only enlightened them, but you've allowed them to figure it out within their own reason and means, irrespective of the follow-ups that we may have in the emails and the videos. But it makes sense, and that light bulb will go off. And as long as you stay in front of them, then you know they'll come. They'll come.
And Derek, having been with the brand for just over a year, how difficult was it or how did you overcome being able to articulate the value proposition to do the type of recruiting that you've done?
I'm a big reader. For good or bad, sometimes I know what I'm looking at. However, just the tools, like I always go back to the rebranding. It's so important for a large organization to reinvest into itself, and to have the opportunity to have access to the training that we have here at Century 21 on all levels. There's no big three out there that you can just log in and jump on a group with a manager or someone who helped create or brought the technology to the company. You can't do that. And Century 21 is consistently attempting to get better. And for one of the big three, which typically they turn like old cruise ships, Century 21 doesn't.
Yeah,
Awesome. Thank you.
I like that.
And Jill, how about you? Who was your number one competitor?
It's probably a little mix of KW and EXP, and they're very different because KW in our marketplace is certainly not inexpensive, but EXP is free in everybody's mind. It's free. I'm going to go work there for free, until you start breaking those numbers down and you quickly see it's far from free. But in their mind it is. So you have to be able to have the data in front of you. It's amazing that you know, I look at it like, oh, it's basic math and we could sit here and do it every day, but they don't see it like that. And KW's big plug is they're a technology company. Well, that's great. Do you want to be in technology or do you want to be in real estate? And technology, you're right, it's very important, but there are many, many, many other pieces to real estate other than technology. We could, other than maybe an MLS, we could run an entire real estate company on paper. We did for years and years and years and years and years. So technology is super important, but by far, what about the 27 other moving pieces that come along with it?
Yeah. Okay. I've got a couple of questions. How do you overcome the 8%? So if you have a prospect sitting in front of you and they say, Yeah, but I don't want to pay that 8%. How do you overcome that, Jill?
I can easily go first on this. You're correct. You're not paying the 8% where you're at right now. However, how many company generated leads did you get last year? 90% of the time, the answer is 0.
Mhm,
Okay. Not that I've never been caught there, but most of the time the answer is 0.
mhm.
And I can simply offset it. Okay. We have one of the biggest relocation companies in the state of Michigan. I'm going to offset that for you by providing you a company generated lead. Do you have any other questions?
There you go.
Mhm.
How about you, Derek?
Mm. I mean, I think once you have the conversation with them and find out again where I always go back to the pain point. Century 21 has so many different inherent values, whether it's company leads, whether it's training, whether it's the mentorship that we have, whether it's the thought leadership, whether it's no admin fee, no transaction fee, whether your monthly is at a minimum, whether you have the technology that will allow you to increase your transactions per year. It's just a number of things. And once you get ingrained in the culture, it reflects, if not the first year, the second and third for sure. And I think you're not coming here for a short while, you're coming here to have a career. And so our goal is to show you how to create a career with the opportunity of continued growth. And I think the training that we have, again, is second to none. So there's different ways you can offset the value of that 8%. And at the same time, that 8% and someone else being at another company, again, isn't worth $500 a month. You know, it just depends on how you look at it and how you display it to the recruit.
Right.
Value
And I think-
proposition, value proposition.
I was just going to say that if you're
Yeah.
comfortable articulating your value proposition, not just what the brand has to offer, but
Mhm.
what, your company brings to the table,
Mhm.
in a lot of cases, it becomes a no-brainer. And
Right.
sometimes it's just showing them how they're going to be able to do 1 or 2 more transactions a year just
Right.
by affiliating with your company, and that will offset the difference.
Right. I mean, you use that monthly $500 fee to buy Zillow leads.
Mhm.
Right.
Right, there you go.
Yeah.
Instead of paying for the balloon.
Correct. Or KW or whoever,
All right, I have another question for each of you. What are the biggest tools that you stress to new recruits? And those could be tools that maybe your company offers or the brand. So Lisa, why don't we start with you?
That's a really good question. And I'm like Derek, I like to read people and kind of go through some things to find that out. But probably for us, it's our marketing department. We've got a really unique marketing department. We use AdWorks. It doesn't cost them anything. We have the Zillow 3D floor plans and tours. Doesn't cost them anything. And then we do all of their marketing for them, all their graphic designing, whether it's postcards or thank you cards or animated social media things. We do all of that for them. And that has become a game changer at our company. It truly has. It has made it so other agents out there see our stuff and they're like, wow, how do you get that? And how much does that cost you? And when our agents say it doesn't cost us anything, it's a big tool to have, to come in. Another one is for us is our coaching. We don't charge anybody for our coaching, and it's phenomenal. It is absolutely phenomenal. And it's one-on-one. And either Terry, if you're above about 4 million in production, then Terry will sit down with you and strategize and come up with a really great plan. And Terry is so able to pivot that he helps them with strategies like nobody I know. And then our other 2 coaches, they handle anyone 4 million and below. So that because they have a different set of problems or a different set of issues to deal with. So those would be the big tools, I would say, that I push out there. But a lot of times it's just reading the person and figuring out what they need rather than just vomiting a whole bunch of, benefits at them, finding out what specifically they need. And sometimes just putting that in the contract, hey, if I put this in the contract right off the bat, do we have a deal here? Worked.
And the coaches, the two coaches that you referenced, is that their only responsibility in the company is to coach agents?
Mhm. Yeah. They have two non-competing brokers in the office, and they come from phenomenal backgrounds,
Mhm,
some extraordinary things in their past. So they're very trustworthy, and they've been with us forever.
mhm.
Helps too.
Okay. And that's great for retention.
Oh,
What,
yeah.
what is the turnover in your company?
We don't have a lot. We really don't. I mean, like when I came in, and well, 2 years ago, we had 175 agents. Now we have 313, and I brought in 113. So do the math. It's probably, I would say, a 10 to 20% turnover.
Mhm.
And it's usually new agents, they just don't catch on. It's hard. That 3-month window without any money is a difficult stretch to put somebody through.
Yeah, it is. And Jill, how about you?
I think by far the easiest sell we have is the coaching and the growth. And I go right to our numbers. I can pick out experienced agents that are sitting on our roster. We publish it. It's very open book. And I can say, okay, so a couple years ago, we brought on Jessica. And when she came here, she was doing, $4 million. And over the last X amount of years, we've gone from 4 million to 17 million this year. And let me explain to you how we did that. And that's by meeting every week. And that's by implementing structure. And when she started, very, very basic things, calendar management, work-life balance. When is it time to bring on an assistant? When is it time to bring on a buyer's agent? When is it time to get that second assistant?
Mhm.
Compiled with picking apart what's on their calendars to determine what can I give to somebody else within the company? What can I take off the plate? So by far, for an experienced agent, it's coaching.
It's the coaching.
It's the coaching.
Mhm.
And Derek, how about you?
The coaching, I mean, a resounding amount of importance along with mentorship for the new agents. I think the tools that we have also are unlike any other at different brands. For instance, the golden ruler is like a CMA on steroids, if I may say. It really will allow a husband and wife who are trying to sell their home to sit back with their laptops and they get all the data they need, so they understand why you're trying to price their house the way that you would like to price it to sell. So it makes it a little easier to maintain the great relationships with the clients. So it's just different things that, again, finding that pain point, like Lisa said, the pain. Once you discover the pain point, then you just have to point in the right direction.
Thank you. Again, what I'm hearing across the board is it's that personal touch. It's the agents are looking for, especially the experienced agents, they're looking for that personal touch. They're looking for that coaching, that attention, which is also good for retention. So, whether it's an existing agent in your company or an agent you're trying to recruit, you can see the common thread there. So that coaching and mentoring is important to all agents. So what is the most common objection that you get when you're trying to set that appointment, and how do you handle it? We'll start with you, Derek.
I would say the largest objection that I think anybody who's picked up the phone, every time you get a no, you're getting closer to a yes. But the larger objection that you may have is I'm comfortable where I am. And that really just means they don't know where they are. They don't understand the nuances of where their money is going. So anybody that doesn't want to listen, typically, good business people listen to you, and they see what they can, take from that 10 minutes. So I think the best way to overcome that objection is to establish the rapport, to stay in front of them, to continue to call, to allow them to see some videos, to allow them to see the success level at their own leisure, to allow them to know that they're important. And it's just a matter of time.
Mhm.
That's it.
Okay, awesome. How about you, Jill? What is the number one objection that you get?
Oh, I'm so busy. I don't have time right now. And I have 4 pending and I can't leave right now because I have 4 pending and I can't leave right now because I just took 3 listing.
How do you handle that?
That's exactly why we need to meet. Because if you can't find, 30 minutes to meet with me, then you're probably not finding 30 minutes to have some work-life balance. So why don't we talk about that? Because I know I can help you not be so busy and make more money.
That's good.
And Lisa?
So I'm probably somewhere right between both of them. I too do the I'm not pushy. I'm not pushy at all. So I just develop the relationships and follow up with them and send them a card or whatever. But when I have them on the phone and they say, "Oh, I'm too busy," which is what I get all the time. So I'm really happy where I am and I'm just too busy. I learned a long time ago, if you can get an agent to say, "That's right," somewhere in the conversation, they're yours. So that's what I try to get them to do. So I'll say something like, "I completely understand that you're so busy, but what if you came over here and you found out that you were really missing out and you loved it and you wanted to come aboard? Wouldn't that make sense for just a 30-minute conversation or something like that?" And usually say, "That's right." And then I always throw my father's thing in, which is famous, which is you can always turn down offers. You never turn down interviews.
There you go. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. It works too, because you got nothing to lose. I mean, what do you have to lose to find out? And the other thing is life is life. You just never know when life's going to change. You never know when I don't say this part, but it's true. When your broker's going to come in and throw a hissy fit and you say, "Okay, that's it, I'm leaving." Wouldn't you rather have a place you can run to, a place that's got a great atmosphere, a great broker, rather than have to start from scratch at the last minute? So just come by, let me put it on the table, show you what it looks like, put an offer on the table for you. If you don't like it, you don't like it, but at least you'll know exactly what is out there.
Mhm.
That works.
Yeah, I could see where that would be a powerful conversation. How do you handle, someone, especially when you're working with experienced agents and they do have 2 or 3 pendings? How do you handle that?
You're still on me?
Yes. And I'm going to ask
That's
the
easy.
same question.
That's easy. So Terry had allowed me a long time ago to keep them whole.
Mhm.
And what we talk about when we say keep them whole is like, let's say that they already have half their cap is done, or they've got 3 under contract and their current contract says that if you leave, they're going to keep 50% of the commissions. So no one's going to leave under those conditions. I wouldn't, would you? I mean, who would? You're going to leave all that money on the table. So what I do is I negotiate. I first find out for sure if that's what's going to happen if they leave their brokerage. And if that is truly what's going to happen, then I will just, on our next 2, 3, 4 transactions that come out of us, I'm going to make them whole. So I'll just put them at a 90. I say a 94.6. I don't want to confuse them. Right? Terry pays 2% of the 6% franchise or the 8% franchise fee. So we would just put these agents coming aboard on a 94.6 split until we made them whole, or we would take the money that they've already put into the cap at wherever they are, and then we would put it into our cap so that when they come aboard with us, they are exactly even. They're not out anything.
Okay. And Jill, how about you? How do you handle that?
We do the same thing. If anything should go astray, we're going to make the situation whole. If we have to, maybe we reduce the cap that year just to level it off, or whatever situation it is. Maybe we need to go an extra 2 months or an extra 3 months, keeping them at 92, whatever we need to do to exactly make it painless, that there will not be a loss. And I can't share one. I don't, in 6 years, I've not had to even one out. The brokers ended up paying whatever it is that they needed to pay.
Yep.
So Jill, your comp plan is also a cap model?
Yes.
Okay. And Derek, how do you handle that situation?
Very similar on a case-by-case basis. We're on a cap model as well. And just being able to be flexible, to gain, honestly, a good agent who fits your culture and the transactions, it's worth it. You know, for a long-term relationship, absolutely, to be flexible.
I'm getting a lot of questions about the caps
Uh-oh.
and how they work in your companies. So Derek, can you just give us a little bit more detail about what is your cap and how do you factor in that 8%?
The cap with us is 18.5.
Mm-hmm.
We factor in the 8% by getting rid of some other fees, by allowing them to understand that they'll increase their transactions. And so really understanding where they're coming from in that business model, and then giving them our business model and the advantages, not just from the company leads, but we offer some lead generation tools here as well. So for particular agents, it's truly a value proposition for them to invest in their future and make the move over versus, I always go back to paying for the balloon, just paying for the balloon. It doesn't work. They're not concerned about your future growth and your development. The tools that we have, the technology we have, as well as some of the lead generation tools and ways that I think our coaching and mentoring can increase their transaction level, is instrumental in you know, dealing with the experienced agents and just getting over those numbers. At a certain point, I think all agents see that they want to continue to grow, and the companies where they are, they don't come to them unless they say they're about to leave, and then they want to fix everything. So, you know, it's just like if it's a relationship and you're younger and you have a girlfriend, or the guy messes up and now all of a sudden he wants to do everything right. You're done, you know, it's broken. The relationship is broken. You move on. So when you allow them to see it from that perspective, that someone's not interested in their growth down the road, then I think a lot of times it makes sense to people who are interested in doing business.
What percentage of your agents meet the cap? And once they meet the cap, how do you then handle that 8%?
I would say, well, here's a better answer to that. When they cap, they go to a 90-10.
There you go. Okay. That answers both questions.
It does. It does.
Okay. Jill, how about you? How does your cap plan work?
The 8% does not go away. They're paying it whether they're a $1 million producer or a $50 million producer. And I really enjoy, you know, people say, well, I can't pay that because, you know, I don't have to pay that down the street. But when you explain to them, what do you get for 8%? That 8% is very small. If you had to go out and hire your own assistant, what would that cost you? Keep in mind, it's not just the salary. You have to pay Medicare, you have to pay Social Security. There's a disconnect there where I can say, okay, here's my listing. Let me give that to Anna. Okay, I need flyers done. Let me give that to so-and-so, versus having to pay somebody to do that. And I can confidently speak to that if you're doing up to 50 transactions and you work here, you don't need an assistant. You don't have to pay anybody. You can do 50 transactions here comfortably. And the only thing you're paying is that 8%, and it's done. You can't hire somebody for that. Not in today's market.
And what percentage of your agents are meeting that cap?
Probably right around 75.
That's a good recruiting nugget right there.
Are you serious?
Probably. I'll get that exact number for you. I'm going to say 75.
Awesome.
It is awesome.
Lisa, how about you?
We're not 75 aren't hitting cap. I would say probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 35% hit. And I am just like Jill in the sense that you're going to pay 6%. Like I told you before, Terry pays 2% of it, but you're going to pay 6% for forever. So once you reach your cap, you're at a 94-6 split. I don't have any pushback. We explain it exactly the way, I mean, Jill said it so perfectly. She's exactly right. With the way Century 21 has it set up, or the way our offices, most Century 21 offices are set up, you know, it's more like a concierge high-end hotel. I mean, we cater to them to the point where they don't, you could stave off an assistant as long as you're growing in a normal trajectory. You could stave off an assistant till you're at 6, 7, 8 million in production at our office. Because there's so many people that do the back end minutia for you. It's true. So it makes sense. I mean, it really does when you sit down and look at it. And then the marketing that we're doing for our agents now is just crazy stupid. So
Yeah.
it's worth it.
Jill, I'm getting a lot of requests to find out what your cap is.
Same as Derek, 18.5.
Oh, I'm 21.
Derek is at 18.5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you finding that the competitors in your marketplace are mostly using the cap model as well? Lisa?
Me? Yeah, we've got everybody because I'm in Atlanta. So we have a lot of different models. I would say it's probably 30% Keller Williams, of course. And you know that some of the places that didn't used to have caps are starting to bring in a cap, which is interesting. We have a Caldwell Banker that has a cap now, which I was like, what? Don't use that tool anymore. But most of the time, I'd say about 30% of the companies around us have caps. The rest of them don't. And I love it when they don't have a cap, of course, you know, it's easy to recruit to.
Okay. So what commission split are they on prior to getting to that cap?
So for us, I'm sorry, was I spoke out of turn?
No, and I'm going to ask everyone that same question, but go ahead.
70-30 for a new agent. And then when they get to about 1.5, 2 million in production, they're at 75-25. About 2 to 3 million, they're at 80-20. When you get to about 4 to 6 million, you're at 85-15. And at that point, you're capping. So it really does, we don't care. If you want to be at a 90-10, you can be at a 90-10. Because if you're capping it, it has no merit anymore.
Okay. And Jill, how about you?
Are you guys ready? 95% of the time we're doing 50-50 to 18.5.
Wow.
50.
Most like, and if I'm questioned about it, I don't remember the last time I made the adjustment to a 60-40 or a 70-30. I have, but I really talk to, I'm happy to do this for you, but let me show you why this might not be what's in your best interest.
Is that normal in your, I know I'm not supposed to be cross talking, sorry about that. Is that normal in your market, 50-50?
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay. So that's competitive.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Derek, how about you?
You know, it's normal and it's worse, but I'm still at the 70-30, and if they need a mentor, back them up to 60-40 for their first 3 deals or so, and try to partner with them as they struggle through those first few sales to, get them up and going. So, but some of the other bigs here in Houston, they start them at 50-50 and they're paying outrageous fees. And then the, smaller brokerages, like she said, it's very easy to recruit too, because they'll give you a great split, but you're not getting any training or any tools.
Right.
So,
but in retro, I am coaching them at the 50-50. They're getting me.
That's awesome.
They're getting me. I'm right here for you.
Yeah.
Great.
Wow.
I was having a conversation with someone about recruiting to the cap model, and not everybody hits that cap. And so if you're in front of a prospect who says, yeah, but I'm on the cap model, when I hit this amount, I'm going to be at 100% or 90%, has that person ever hit the cap? If they've been in business for 5 years and they haven't hit that cap once, then guess what? You're on a 70-30 split. That's what you're on, because you haven't hit that cap. And those are the agents that I, if it were me, I would be targeting those agents that just keep missing that cap year over year, because there has to be some frustration in that. Just my 2 cents. Okay. So we talked about the objections. We've talked about how you prospect. What is the one piece of advice that you would give your best friend if they were going to be coming on board as a recruiter for a real estate company? So Lisa, we'll start with you.
The golden rule, just treat people the way you want to be treated. Listen, be sincere, genuine, understand where their fears are. I would tell them to just, oh my gosh, my phone rang. How embarrassing is that? I would tell them to just literally, and don't give up, and when people tell you that their moms died 3 different times in a row, just know that, they're scared. They don't want to come over, but eventually they'll come, and just be kind. I think that's the golden rule. And I know it's cheesy, but it's true. Just that's how I've gotten all mine. And I have got some that have just come over after 4 years of recruiting them. Sometimes it just takes that long. They know me, and I've gotten to know them, and they trust and respect me, and they're like, okay, I'm so sick of this, I'm coming. I'm like, okay, come on. So that's what I would say.
Thank you, Lisa. How about you, Jill? What is the one piece of advice you'd give somebody new into recruiting?
Know that it takes time to build a pipeline. It does not happen overnight. You will spend many of hours just figuring out where you want to start, and that's okay. It's okay that you don't recruit 50 people in your first year.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do that. Know what your goals are, try to stick to them, and know that when somebody says no to you, that's not necessarily no to you. It's just no right now. Mm-hmm. And I use myself as the example because I told Bob Curran, no, thank you, for 14 years. It didn't mean that I didn't like him. It didn't. He was the household name in my hometown. It just meant not right now. Mm-hmm. And so when you think about it like that, it's not personal. It's just, where are you at in your life?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And Derek, how about you? What is the one piece of advice you'd give somebody new to recruiting?
I think something that Jill just said is where people are in their lives, having a really good understanding of, and of course it takes communication and for someone to buy into the conversation, but the one piece of advice I would give someone is to follow up, but know who you're talking to before you pick up the phone. Mm-hmm. To really get an idea, so you can talk to them about their transactions, talk to them about their pain points and knowing their business model. And then more importantly, don't overgauge the number of phone calls you make, but the quality of conversations that you have. And they'll increase. And you'll know when you had a quality conversation, because you'll get all light and fuzzy and get pumped up and you're ready to make another call.
Derek,
good, right?
Derek, I couldn't agree with you more. I think if you only end up with 3 quality conversations, and those were the only 3 dials that you made that week, that quality is far more important than quantity.
Absolutely.
I have one more piece of advice, and I think this is super important. And when you think about, like, when we're coaching agents, to be coachable, we as the leader need to be coachable. Mm-hmm. And when I am not in some type of coaching format, I know that I'm off my game a little bit. Mm-hmm. And to know that it's okay to be vulnerable yourself, because we all are, and be compassionate to the person who's sitting in front of you. Because in reality, what do people want? They only want to be heard. And to be coachable yourself so that you can coach the other in the same way.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. My last question for you all is, what has been the most effective action item or talk track that you've implemented into your recruiting process? And Jill, will continue with you.
I think my biggest action item is the time block in my calendar, that it is something that I have to do every single day
Mhm.
in order to grow the business and to walk the walk. If I hire new agents and they're not making phone calls, they're not going to be successful. It's very, very simple. And therefore, I have to do the same. So the commitment to the calendar. And once you start to get a little bit of success, that commitment becomes easier because you see the result.
Mhm.
So very, very difficult in the beginning. You know, people are hanging up on you. Why are you calling me? I don't want to talk to you. And that's very, very discouraging in the beginning. But to everyone out there to know that that is just completely normal.
Mhm.
And the minute you get a yes, you're going to be like, oh,
Yeah, and you can't take it personally,
no.
you know? And Derek, how about you?
Well, as a small caveat, every time they say no or hang up on me, I call them back. I want to even the energy out, until we're friends. So
You're determined.
right. I really think being as selfless as possible to the scenario, allowing, when you don't want to answer that phone, that's when that agent that you've been trying to really talk to is going to call you. You could be walking out of the door or pulling it up in the driveway, but go ahead and have that conversation, but also learn how to drive the conversation to make them feel valuable, but more importantly, set up the next appointment or follow-up at a time when it's comfortable and letting them know, just as they do, your preferred time, your preferred method to talk. How can I reach you? Is it text? Do you prefer to text or call, or can we set up an in-office appointment? So just over communicating with people and being selfless about it until you get to that point where you can sit down at the table with someone.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Lisa, how about you?
Well, they both took good answers and they're both exactly right in their approach. That's how I do it too. So to add to the conversation, I think lately my new success has come from, I have a new close and it's really working. What I do is I say what their pain points were back to them like this. I'll say, so if I'm hearing you correctly, you would really like to have some leads. You would really like to have some more coaching. You don't feel supported. And, marketing is a problem for you. And so I say this, and it seems to really be working. So if I were able to get you some more leads, put you in front of the marketing department at top-notch levels and get you coaching one-on-one, it wouldn't cost you anything, would you be willing to sign today? And you wouldn't believe how many people are saying yes. And I used to say the same thing, but without the mirroring what they said first, without repeating and putting it into a logical format. I used to say, well, we can do that. Well, we can do that. Well, let's go ahead and no, it's repeating it back in one sentence and then hitting them with a close. It works. So
You're reminding them of their pain points,
Yeah.
and then you're solving the problem for them.
Yeah, I didn't know if it would work, and somebody suggested it from a completely different field. That's how he closes his deals. And I'm gonna give it a shot. And I've had 2 or 3 just within the last month that have said, I was like, wow, it really does work.
Awesome.
Good close.
Derek, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, to that point, absolutely right. I've been told several times that as I'm communicating, I'm always soft closing with people, and I'm mirroring their image quite a bit. And I think when you do that, and if you've ever called an expired listing and you learn how to kind of ease into the conversation, it's very similar communication because you're offering leading questions for them to just open up. And once they tell you everything, just as Lisa said, you just recap and it all makes sense. And probably the reason they're on the phone is because they can't formalize it and put it all in categorically and look down the road and how many different pain points they have. And then we get to show them how much better Century 21 is.
Yeah. It worked.
We do have a couple of questions, and folks that are on with us, if you have any questions, you can type them into the chat. So let's see. How are you dealing with disruptors such as Compass? Do any of you have Compass in your marketplace?
Mm-hmm.
And
There's
how,
no problem. Their model's greedy, and you go over there and it all looks shiny and pretty, and then within a matter of short period of time, they leave. They buy them, and then once the money runs out, then they come back.
Mhm.
My experience. That sounded really snobby. I didn't mean it that way. That's just been my.
Okay. Anyone want to add to that?
A similar rotation. I would say just from agents that I know that have gone there, that sometimes they're looking for the bright and shiny, and that may go for some other brokerages as well.
Mhm.
And when it really comes down to it, they're not going to get the mentorship or the coaching or the relationships that you get in the culture that I believe we all have created. So I think the culture is very important to give something to people that they can hold on to. Compass is not even a huge competitor on the radar, because I think the ones that succeed stay, and other than that, they probably have a 45 to 50% turnover ratio.
Mhm. Right.
I think I would encourage that person to find the data, like how long have you been in business? We can very easily say, well, we've been in business for 70 years. And over the last 10 years, there have been, 72 new brokerages that came about, and there are only 3 left.
Mhm.
No,
Yep.
find that data, because the data is available.
Mm-hmm.
New restaurants pop up all the time. They don't always make it.
All right, and one last question. What is the most effective form of communication where you get a quick response? Is it text? Is it phone call? Email?
It's phone call.
Phone call.
Phone call and text.
Okay.
I
All
don't
right.
text them until I've had multiple conversations on the phone.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I do text, but it's not until we have a relationship.
All right.
I have found recently, this was another tip I got, and I tried it out too. Same person, by the way. When a person goes dark on you, you're having these great conversations and then nothing, that if you text them, hey, did you go dark on me? They immediately respond. They can't stand that thought. It's cool. I had no idea. Somebody mentioned that. I actually heard it on a radio show. So.
There you go. Another little tidbit there. Okay, let me just check to see if there are any other questions. Have any, I don't think this would apply to Derek, but have any of you been involved in the conversion from a traditional commission comp model to the cap? No.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so I don't think there are any other questions. I think I got them all. I want to thank you all for taking the time and being panelists and sharing your successes and your little secrets with everybody. I do want to make sure that everybody is aware that tomorrow is our first agent VIP, which is, we're calling it the Century 21 Experience for Prospects. So Becky Byer and myself will be presenting. So if you have any prospects that you want to send them over, please reach out to one of our coaches, and they'll get you the registration link. But we're going to be doing that every month, the 4th Wednesday of every month at 2:00 Eastern time. Okay, and it's the same registration link for all of the sessions. So everybody, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I'm giving you back about 10 minutes.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks
very
for
much.
having us. Bye.